Hey, welcome back to Common Sense OT Security. Today we are checking out some guidance by CISA on network topology diagrams. So this is about a video that CISA did about 2 years ago, and that contains some interesting topics that I want to talk about today. You will find the link to that video, which is on YouTube, in the description below, so it's very easy to figure out how to watch it. As you can see here, this is the introduction. So the introduction to the introduction. The first 9 or 10 minutes, you can easily skip that because this is about definitions. They tell you what a network topology diagram is. And guys, everybody knows that already, at least everybody who watches this channel. So you can safely skip this. The one thing certainly that stands out is if you look at the visuals here, you already get that unpleasant feeling. Oh, they're still using Visio, Microsoft Visio, and that's bad. and I will get back to that later. Anyhow, just skip the first 9 or 10 minutes, and then it really gets interesting because their major focus here, or the context in which they talk about network topology diagrams, is incident response. Who had expected that? So their argument is, without solid network topology diagrams, your incident response efforts are severely limited, or they are degraded. They will take much longer. I'm going to play you a couple of sound bites, which I believe are really interesting.
So, yeah, breaches, that's an important topic.
The guy has a slow start, but
this is
he'll
an
get to
incident
it.
response series that we're teaching, and we do have an IR incident response playbook course coming down the pike shortly. But yeah, so as Kobe's mentioning, our complex network architectures, it's super important to maintain current and accurate topology diagrams. One, because it's challenging with the size of our networks and everything. But yeah, if you have an incident response, for those incident responders to be able to locate and um, cordon off where the intruders might be. But these diagrams help with that insight.
Okay, so I think you get the point. Very valid statement. If you are doing incident response and you have no clue what the network topology looks like, you will really experience a hard time. I'm going to play you another 2 short sound bites.
So, needless to say, not having a network diagram will, or can and will, significantly delay those response and recovery efforts. And that number on the top right, the 277 days, that's from, we got that from, so the takeaway here is that any delays in the process, like not having a current and accurate topology diagram, can potentially cost an organization millions of dollars.
Isn't that something? If you don't have an accurate and complete network topology diagram, your incident response efforts might be delayed to such an effect that it's going to cost your organization several $million, because the actual incident response effort might just take a week or 2 longer. Why? Because it's barely possible to do any meaningful incident response, or let's just say a systematic incident response, without having a clue of the network architecture. And if you are the incident responder, you arrive on the scene, and first you have to assemble that network topology that might take you a couple of weeks, or let's just say 1 or 2 weeks. And in the meantime, you really can't go to actually containing the threat or just eliminating the threat. And that's going to add significantly to the cost of consequence. So very astute observation here. And you could say that alone is in itself, that's the rationale for creating and maintaining network topology diagrams. Okay, so next topic in that video is they talk about 2 different types of network topology, one physical, one logical. And yes, that's correct. That's important. Another thing that certainly I don't like is, again, you're looking at Microsoft Visio. Guys, this is not going to cut it. But what I would like to do is to give you an idea how that would look like in a real OT asset management system, which, by the way, if you are from IT, you can also use it for IT networks. No difference here. So what I'm going to do here in the OT-based network inventory, you're going to select 2 networks, and then we click on, and also obviously there are logical networks, logical IP networks, and then we click on the topology button. And this will open up a new browser window where OT-base automatically draws the physical topology for us. And if you want to see keep in mind we have selected 2 networks, 2 IP networks. If you want to see the logical connectivity here, you would just change the layout to networks, and then the diagram is redrawn. And then you get the logical view. So this is our first network here. And then down here, you have the second network. And you can see the conduits between those networks, how they are tied together, and where the data could move between those networks. Okay, so I just wanted to give you this idea that with a proper technical platform, but it's just you can select just like that which view you want to choose for the use case at hand, and this can even go much further. So, for example, I could also say, no, just show me that in respect to geolocation. I mean, why not? Let's just see the where the wiring is actually moving through, and that is the benefit of a multi-dimensional contextualized OT asset management system, that for those diagrams you can just choose it at will in dialog mode where you want to put your focus on. And then here you see the different this would be like the geographical or the units within that specific body and white building. And that's just another layer that you can switch to by the click of the mouse. And for example, you could also drill further down. So I want to see additional details on that asset. You would see where it actually is located. You will see for this, in this case, it's a network switch. You can see the port map, etc. By the way, those lines in blue, that they simply tell you, oh, this is a switch-to-switch connection. Any connections to endpoints are color-coded in black. So just to give you that idea that it's not either or, physical or logical, that is just by choice, what you want to see in your OT asset management platform. Next aspect here, then they make also another very important point, and this is about asset discovery and asset mapping. Simply boiling down to, well, you can actually produce a useful network topology map without an asset inventory, which probably isn't something that's new to our viewers here, but it certainly is worthwhile being pointed out. And this is what they really bring home here. Certainly, I don't like these minimalistic samples here that they use. Very minimalistic. This one here is from SolarWinds. Guys, you should have used OT-base. It is so much more feature rich. And again, it's a bit strange when you think about it. In the introduction, they talk about the complexity of networks, but any example that they use here is super simple. Anyhow, let's just listen to more sound
considerations. So needless to say, it's nearly impossible to know what needs to be protected without a comprehensive solution that can help to identify all of the assets on your network.
It's nearly impossible to protect something on your network if you don't have all the asset information. I think that's a very strong statement.
The list at a minimum should contain standard asset information, including asset names, types, models, and IP addresses, as well as external services information obtained from remote sites.
Okay, so this is another. So I have been jumping back and forth in the video. This is another interesting point, because here they also give you the idea, well, guys, it's not just an IP address that you're going to need, and maybe make and model. So you want to have something more, which is what we usually refer to as metadata, which is data about data. So that's a valid observation here. And the bottom line is that it's basically impossible to produce a useful network topology map without the connection to a solid OT asset inventory. That's a very important insight. And I think most of you who have already played around with Microsoft Visio and tried to sketch out your network topology will have also experienced that. Or if you just have that little icon there signifying maybe a server, maybe a PLC, well, that's not good enough. And what I wanted to show you earlier is how in an asset management system like OT-base, it's all interconnected, right? So it's all integrated. If you want to have any additional information about any of those endpoints, or even about the switches, well, you just do a drill down by double click, and then you will see all the other data. And certainly this is super important in the context of OT security, because then you will realize, the criticality of those endpoints. You will realize all the other endpoints that could probably be compromised if a particular network segment is compromised. And this is why network topology and asset information must go together. The diagram alone doesn't give you anything to work with. Okay, so the next topic that they are discussing is data flow. And I'm not sure why they are doing this, actually, because the point can be made that's something completely different. Data flow obviously is not limited to a particular network, because once that you have routers, well, you can also see data flow, for example, from your engineering workstation to an endpoint in the internet, which you probably shouldn't, but that would be the case if you're just looking at data flow. And again, so this is a different layer as compared to network topology. They mention it anyway. Don't get me wrong, certainly data flow is super, super important, but it's not directly related to network topology. Should you be interested in seeing that data flow for your networks, let me just show you quickly how that works in our DBase. So you open a network profile, as we call it, and then you have this section in there. It's called data flow. How convenient is that? Right? And then first you see the data flow broken down by protocols and categories of endpoints, like is it the public internet, is it within the local subnet, or is it via router to another or from another private network. And here and then you see that diagram that is also automatically produced, and that certainly gives you a lot of additional insight into what's going on here. You can also filter this display. So for example, if I only want to see HTTP traffic, I would just do it like this. And I wouldn't necessarily mention it in the same breath as the network topology, but I just wanted to show you they're doing it. And this is how you could also explore the data flow within OT-base. So last topic here in this video, this is their, let's just say, summing up how they suggest to approach a network topology project, and which, in my opinion, is where they hopelessly fail. Why is that? I mean, don't get me wrong. So as you know by now, I think the video has some very strong points, but the problem that I see with this process that they describe here is it's pretty much all manual, almost all manual. Identify network components, sketch the diagram. Guys, how do you think this is going to work? So within our context, like think about a manufacturing operation with, let's just say, 20,000 endpoints. So how is that supposed to work? Walk down inspection and then collect the information in Excel and then sketch the diagram. So in that same operation in manufacturing, you will most likely find several hundred networks. If you are in IT, it might surprise you. If you're in OT, it doesn't surprise you because you know the drill. So just as an example, you expect to see at least one, if not multiple networks per machine. As simple as that. And how would you go about sketching that consolidated diagram of your whole building, or maybe the whole organization? I'm telling you, you're going to need that at some point in time. It doesn't give you a lot if you only had a network topology diagram for one machine. I mean, that's probably good enough for the machine builder, but that's not good enough for the OT security person. And then choose an application which they think about. So they're thinking about like Microsoft Visio as an example, or maybe best case SolarWinds. Yeah, but that's not how it works. So you start out with selecting your appropriate platform, because then everything else is self-contained. All right. So the network identification, the component identification, the diagram layouts, as I have shown you earlier, you choose that live in dialogue with your mouse, and not just at design time. So design time happens immediately. That means the diagram, as you have seen it earlier, it's created on the fly. It is not a stored image like a PNG or JPEG. It is created on the fly, and therefore you can do all those manipulations. And therefore, in my opinion, they have this process completely backwards. So you start with your tool. Your tool does the automatic asset discovery, which includes determining all the network connections. How is that possible? Just think about it for a second. How is that even possible? That's very simple. You can determine the connections from the switch configurations. And then if you put all of that together, your topology can be created automatically, which is what you see in OT-base. So you don't need to select the template at design time. You just click on the topology button, then you get a specific layout. If you don't like the layout, just switch to a different layout. And then there is your diagram, or your multiple diagrams, depending on different use cases. You don't need to create a legend. That's done automatically by the tool, as you have seen. And also, you don't need to maintain the diagram, which is their last step, meaning in their opinion, well, you would have to revisit that topology diagram, let's just say a couple of months later, maybe 6 months later, to check if everything is still valid. You don't need to do that with OT-base because it's always created from fresh data. So the asset inventory is refreshed every 24 hours. That includes the switch configurations. And therefore, your diagram is always up to date because it's built using the latest switch configurations. That's the magic. So that is something that I'm not overly happy with. Other than that, some very strong points in the video. Check it out. Skip the first 10 minutes or so and let me know what you think in the comments. So another important announcement next week, as you will probably know already, is S4 in Miami. We will certainly be there. We will have our prime sponsor room. And if you go to S4, just make sure to visit us, ideally on Monday, where we already have our afternoon program with a lot of cool talks, presentations. You will definitely like it. And on Tuesday, we will do our webcast live from S4. And I will be joined by Zach Tudor from INL. So both of us will try to communicate the vibe at S4 and what we think stands out, or what we have noticed. So if you don't go to S4 physically, just join us on the internet next week, same place, same time. Bye-bye.